Hi everyone, welcome to Quadep Econs Academy. Today we want to look at the expenditure approach to GDP. In our earlier lesson, we learned that gross domestic product, which is GDP, is the monetary value of all goods and services produced within the borders of a country over a given period of time, usually 1 year. Now, how do we measure GDP? This is the focus of today's lesson, and we're going to employ the expenditure approach. To be able to employ the expenditure approach, we need to identify economic agents which are spending in the economy. And here we will start with the households. Households spend on goods and services for consumption, and therefore households incur what we term as consumption expenditure or consumption spending. And in this lesson, we denote consumption spending by C. Apart from households, we also have firms. Firms also spend on goods and services in the form of investment. So, another component of spending is investment spending, and we denote it by I. Aside this, we also have government in the economy. And government also makes spending. And government spending here is denoted by J. Apart from household, firms, and government, there's also the external sector. Every economy doesn't exist on its own, but also trade and interact with other economies. So what we're saying here is that foreigners enter into the domestic economy, buy goods and services, and export them. And that component of expenditure is called exports, and it is denoted by X. Having looked at the components of spending that take place, let's move on to observe some conceptual framework. In this conceptual framework, we have the left side being the domestic economy and the right side being the external economy. Now, what we are saying here is that consumption spending, which is done by household, is not only made on goods produced in the domestic economy, but also on goods produced in the external economy. In the same way, investment spending is done on goods produced both within the country or economy and outside the economy. Similarly, government spending is also done on goods produced within the economy and outside the economy. But for exports, we know that export is only made on goods which are produced within the domestic economy. So, how then can we derive our GDP? Let's understand that GDP can be obtained when we are able to sum up all the expenditure made on goods and services produced within the borders of a country. So this left side component together will give us GDP. But the challenge we're going to face is that the components of consumption, investment, and government spending are in a combined form. In spite of this challenge, we can still derive our GDP. So what we're saying is that all the left side components together will give us GDP. And the trick is here. The right side components for consumption, investment, and government spending, that is made on goods produced outside the economy. When we sum them together, it is equal to imports. Therefore, what we can do is that we can sum up all the components here and subtract imports. And the moment we do that, we have taken out expenditure on foreign produced goods, and we are left with our GDP. So in the simplest way, GDP is equal to C plus I plus J plus X. And when we do that, we know that we have this external component which together constitute imports. And we subtract imports so that we come back to the GDP we are searching for. So let's keep it in mind that when we sum up C, I, J, and X, we have included some foreign components. We have included expenditure on goods produced outside the economy. But that component together is our imports. So we can easily subtract imports, and then we are left with the GDP. So that is how we find GDP, by the expenditure approach. If I was moving too fast, please pause or reverse to aid understanding. Thank you for watching. I want you to help me promote the channel by subscribing, liking, and sharing.